तिरहेतु के त्वयि ऐनन्दतनुज किङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्थितधूलिसदृशं विचिन्तय नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गदगदरुद्धया गिरा पुलकैर्निशितं वपु कदा तव नाम गृहणे भविष्यति युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रावृषायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहेण मे आश्लिष्य वा पादरतां पिनष्टु माम् अदर्शनां मर्मं हतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विददातु लम्पट मत्प्राणः सुसेवनापरः हरे This moment is a prime benediction from humanity at large, because His praise the rays of benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendent always. It has a whole and there are not even hearted pastors in churches in Spain. There are out of but I am so much fortunate that I have no attraction for them. Thinking myself destroying the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, rid of senses as prosperously, and should be ready for one can chant constantly. Oh my Lord, I have no desires of this. I only wish for consciousness. Let me see the other side. Okay. राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधाम.
Welcome to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Temple on this most auspicious occasion of Snan Yatra. We'll all start with Jai Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare. Jaya Jagannath, Jagannath, Baladev Jai, Subhadra Jaya, Jagannath Jaya, Jagannath, Baladev Jai, Subhadra Jaya, Jagannath Swami, Nayana Pathagami, Nayana Pathagami, Bhavatu me Jaya, Jagannath Swami, Nayana Pathagami, Nayana Pathagami, Bhavatu me Jaya, Jagannath Jaya, Jagannath, Baladev Jaya, Subhadra Jaya, Jagannath, Jagannath, Baladev Jaya, Subhadra Jaya, Jagannath, Jagannath, Baladev Jaya, Subhadra Jaya, Jagannath, Jagannath, Baladev Jaya, Subhadra Jaya, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev Jaya, Gurudev. Vishnupada, Pranam Parivajakacharya, Strodhasa Srimad Srila Vrajanath Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananda Kori Vaishnavrind ki jai, Grantaraj, Snan Yatra Mahamahotsav ki jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi ki jai, Shri Gaur ki jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi ki jai, yes, Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Krishna Padani, Krishna Vishaya, Budale, Shamili. Namojara Padani, Dai Pavadani, Gauranga, Ramadaya, Megalagranta. Hare Krishna. Jai. So today, on this most auspicious day, we are gathered to celebrate Snan Yatra. It's a unique festival within the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So in Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradayas, we have some unique situations. Right? So we'll first understand the unique situation. The first unique situation we have is that we have a brother, sister, brother combination sitting in the altar. You will see this combination is not found in other sampradayas, you could say, in one sense, in other sampradayas or in other leelas and in other temples. You will not find a temple where there is like a sibling combination. Right? Of course, if you were to go to Helensburgh Temple, here in Sydney, you'll probably find the temple hall having Lord Shiva there, Ganesh there. So you can say, in one sense, it's a family. So usually in Jyotirlingas, where Lord Shiva's, I think 12 main Jyotirlingas, where the main temples of Lord Shiva are there, you will tend to see the Lord Shiva's temple is there, and usually his family is also there. You'll see Ganesh, Kartikeya, you will notice that. But in a single altar, you will not see all of them together. In a single altar. So the first unique thing about this Snan Yatra that we can appreciate is that the deity setup is very unique. To have two brothers and a sister in between. That's a unique, just that is a very unique setup. Right? Now, usually when we will see people from different religions, they may sometimes criticize deity worship. And then they bring the aspect out that this is just some sentimental stuff, and the fact that you're not praying God. Right? So there are these two aspects, that it's sentimental, and the fact that how are you praying God like this, in this mood. For them, the mood of praying God is multifold, but one aspect is that they don't believe that God has a form that they can worship Him. That God has a form that is worshipable. Like that aspect is brought out, right? The other aspect that is brought out is that the sentimentality with God is that of justice, and that the fact that God will take care of me. So it is a receiving side, right? On the receiving end, not on the giving end. Right? So those two sentiments usually come out. But what we will see in the deity worship in Gaudiya Sampradaya, right? And I am focusing on Gaudiya Sampradaya is because of the uniqueness of Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. Now, the uniqueness of Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi only comes out in Gaudiya Sampradaya. Of course, other Sampradayas also worship. It's not like other Sampradayas don't worship Lord Jagannath. They do. But the unique taste of that worship is only felt in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Unique taste. There's a taste involved there. Right? So in Gaudiya Sampradaya, in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, what we will notice is Krishna does have a form. Right? So, in direct opposition to what the standard religious beliefs are. That God does have a form. Right? And not only does God have a form, in that form we have to take care of the Lord. So there is giving aspect. Right? So those two things come out. Usually what you will notice is on the left side of non-Vaishnav religion. We'll use that term, non-Vaishnav religion, because Srila Prabhupada, even in his translation, he talks about how Adi Shankaracharya had brought about that Panchopadhyaya, the worship of the 5 deities, and he says that is actually in one sense quite dangerous because they level up Vishnu with all the other demigods. So in one sense that is not good. So Srila Prabhupada does mention that in Chaitanya Charitamrita when he writes that. So the idea is on the left side when you think of the non-Vaishnav view of the world. Right, their aspect that God has, that God can't have a form that we can worship in. So that's the key thing. God can't have a form that we can worship in. That aspect, right, is completely broken in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It says no, God does have a form, and He can be worshipped in it. So it is, in direct polar opposite view, right? And then the second polar opposite view is that we are giving here by doing service. In the non-Vaishnav view of giving is that we should take care of people's material world. Like you will see, they'll build hospitals, like charitable nature. You're going to build a hospital. You're going to build some school, right? Something charitable. But on this side, on the Vaishnava side, the aspect that is brought out is that no, we are the ones serving Krishna directly. So that is the giving nature. So the definition of giving changes. And we will see even in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is telling Krishna this, Krishna is telling Arjuna the same concept. The same concept is brought out in that conversation, right? Where Krishna tells Arjuna, you must surrender yourself to me and be my devotee. Right? That is the highest form of giving. Right? That is the highest sacrifice. Then after that you start going down, and the last one he says is, okay, then just do some charity. So what becomes the last rung in Krishna's, in Krishna's conversation with Arjuna becomes the highest rung in non-Vaishnav philosophies. Right? So the lowest rung in Gaudiya Vaishnavism is the highest rung in the non-Vaishnav philosophies. So that aspect is brought out. Right? So that is first thing for us to understand, that there is uniqueness in Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi's form. The big uniqueness in the deity. Now the other aspect that we want to bring out is the idea that not only are we focused on Krishna and his deity form, we are also focused on the places that he has been in and the auspiciousness of those places. Right? So now that second aspect is brought out. One is Krishna himself, right? The deity form. And then the place itself. So now the place where Krishna is, right? That place, in one sense you can say, is Sandhini Shakti, or Krishna's expansion. Right? Balaram. When I say Krishna's expansion, means via Balaram, right? The expansion, right? The dham in one sense becomes that expansion. Right? There is an expansion form of that. Now, that is something unique that you will see in Gaudiya Vaishnava and how they deal with the dham. Now, just to be clear, non-Vaishnav religions also have dhams. Non-Vaishnav will have dhams as well, right? You will see Muslim religions have Mecca, Medina. You will see the Christians, they will have Jerusalem, right? Or the Jews will have Jerusalem. Like they all have their special place. What they call as they will use the term special place or holy place. We call it as dham, right? And now this aspect of dham is also in Gaudiya Vaishnavism becomes very unique. So first thing is that dham is considered tatashta. That is the first aspect we'll bring out today, right? So in case of Jagannath Baladev Subhadra is the Nilachala Kshetra Dham. Purushottam Kshetra or Nilachala Kshetra Dham, right? That entire area of Jagannath Puri and the surrounding area. I mean, it's not just Jagannath Puri, the surrounding area, right? That Nilachala Kshetra, that Kshetra is considered very auspicious and it is considered tatashta. So tatashta meaning that one can actually enter the spiritual world there. You can enter the spiritual world. Previously when Rath Yatra would happen, I think some of the door, sorry. Oh, you continue? Okay. Previously when Rath Yatra would happen, sometimes people would actually, fall in front of the Ratha, the wheel of the Ratha, and then, give up their lives. Now of course, the government has made it very strict. Now there is a stricture in that setup, so we have to accept that stricture. But previously people would do that. They would kill themselves, give up their lives in the dham, because by doing so they know that they can enter the spiritual world. Like that concept is there. So this idea of the dham becomes extremely unique in Vaishnavism. This concept of dham, it cannot even be brought out nicely in standard Hindu philosophy. Just the stock standard Hindu philosophy. They don't understand this nature of dham, this tatashta nature. So tatashta meaning is that it is actually the spiritual world. The dham is actually, in every sense of the word, spiritual. But in our vision, we can see material. Our vision. Not the dham's vision. In our vision, we get to see the material. And so this quagmire, Srila Prabhupada sometimes uses this word, the quagmire. Right? This quagmire is very unique. That you are in a spiritual place, but you are seeing material. So this is the beauty of dham. Right? And when we can sometimes sit down and understand this tatashta nature of dham, we can start understanding the tatashta nature of the soul. You see, that's this tatashta meaning marginal. Marginal, the term marginal meaning, it is spiritual, but it can, it is visible in the material. Visible. That's the key word here, is visible. Right? Meaning, it is the internal potency of Krishna, but it can be seen externally as well. That's the tatashta. That is what tatashta means, marginal. It is internal potency, but it can be seen externally. Sometimes, like in university, I try to explain to people how this, antaranga, bahiranga and tatashta work. Is that the internal potency of Krishna can be like an idea. That you have an idea. You're thinking, I'm going to make a factory. You have an idea, I'm going to do something, right? So in your mind, your antaranga shakti is very strong. And it is unbounded. You're thinking, I'll have a factory, everything will be automated, everything will work nicely, things will just work and we'll make a lot of money. See, in your mind, you have built, your antaranga shakti is very huge. And it is unbounded. That is the key word, it is unbounded. Right? But then when it comes to bahiranga shakti, now when you have to make the factory, you are bounded. Is that making sense? Now, you have to, make a factory with bricks. It cannot be an unlimited factory. It has to have a size. The council has to approve it. You see, are you getting it? When it comes to bahiranga, it has to take a finite form. It gets bounded. Is that making sense? Right? Now, what becomes tatashta? Tatashta becomes one's emotions. So emotions are tatashta. When you are happy, you can see it externally, but you can feel it internally as well. Are you getting? It is tatashta. Now, the external feature is limited. Right? How long can you keep smiling? Sometimes you take photographs, sometimes, they ask you to sit down and take a photograph. Keep smiling. After some time, you're like, how long do I keep doing this? Right? So, always understand that the bahiranga is limited. Bahiranga will always be limited. That aspect has to be understood, right? But internally you are feeling happy, you can feel happy for hours upon hours, days upon days, weeks upon weeks. You get what I mean? Or even sadness. I'm taking happiness as an example, but even sadness. You can feel sadness for years upon. Sadness we are more close to because we are in Dukhalayam, so we can relate to sadness more. So in Dukhalayam it's more easy to understand. You can be sad for years upon years upon years, right? And so this aspect has to be understood. So this antaranga, bahiranga and tatashta. Right? So now dham is tatashta. Right? Dham is tatashta. And because dham is tatashta, then the soul, right? He's in the dham. And because he's tatashta, both of them in that same place can get either a spiritual experience or a material experience. Because they both are the same quality. Me, the soul, I have the same quality as the dham. Qualitative. Same quality, right? So then I can enter the dham, I can either feel spiritual or I can see material. Both. So meaning I can see the limited feature or the unlimited feature. And why this becomes important, why we are focusing on this point, is in Chaitanya Leela, when you will hear about Lord Chaitanya's dealings with, in Jagannath Puri, in Rath Yatra, it feels very unlimited.
When you're listening, right? When you're reading, you're looking, oh, this, and then there were, 7 parties, and then these, Lord Chaitanya was in every party, and then he was dancing. So it starts feeling unlimited. How is this possible? You get like, in the mind it feels unlimited. But when we understand that when you enter the Dham, that unlimited aspect can be brought out. The unbounded nature can be brought out, right? We can start understanding these Leelas. Right, so first the uniqueness. I'm first picking up all the uniqueness. First uniqueness was the deity form, the sibling. Very rarely will you have siblings in the altar together, being worshipped, right? As a tradition. So that's the key word, as a cultural tradition. Of course, today people can say, okay, here's Lord Ganesh, here's Lord Kartikeya, they're siblings, and I'm going to worship them together. You can do that, but that's not a tradition. You can do anything you want, but it's not a tradition. So we're talking from a traditional cultural sense, that's unique. Right? So that is the first unique. The second unique aspect is the Purushottam Kshetra Dham. That Dham is actually unlimited and unbounded. It is explained in Kali Yuga, 2 Dhams will grow in strength. Right? Mayapur Dham and Jagannath Puri Dham. They will grow in strength. They will not be hampered by time. Right? So these 2 dham, of course, Mayapur Dham is explained to be much more. Like even in dhams, you'll have more in quantity. Just like in Tatashta nature, some souls may have limited strength, and some souls may show more strength. Like Brahma is a soul, I am a soul. But now in terms of strength and behavior, he's great, I am not. You see? So you can recognize that. So similarly in Mayapur, of course, being the superior, the elder brother. Right? So now that aspect of Dham we have explained. Now the third aspect we will try to bring out is this intimate pastimes. These are intimate pastimes. And these intimate pastimes become festivals. Right? So in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, this becomes something very unique. Intimate pastimes that then become festivals. Like Utsavas. So this third aspect is what we will focus on for the rest of the time. This intimate pastime. Yes? So in this intimate pastime, we have Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. They take a shower and they fall sick. It's an intimate pastime. Have you ever heard of Vishnu falling sick? Have you heard of Lord Shiva falling sick? No, Lord Shiva drinks poison and he's perfectly fine. So you'll hear other things. But the intimacy of the pastimes in Gaudiya Vaishnavism become more profound. Profound, that is the key word, profound. Right? And so this intimacy in this Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra Devi form, like when we are observing it, we are sitting and we are observing this intimate pastime, we can recognize that when we say that Leela Madhuri, that the 4 qualities of Krishna, that are above everyone else, why pastime becomes the more profound aspect. Because not only is the pastime beautiful, the worship in the pastime becomes beautiful. Are you seeing that? So, worshipping deities is Tantra. Right? So we have mantra and tantra, right? So we do mantra, we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare. Or we are doing, we are doing our deity worship, our worship, and we use mantras, right? But then there is tantra. Tantra meaning, then how are you engaging the bodily form, right? How are you engaging that? So Vaishnava Tantra is deity worship, right? So the deity worship form is Vaishnava Tantra. Now this Vaishnava Tantra that we have, right, in Gaudiya Vaishnavism becomes very mellow. Although it is formal. So this is the unique thing. It is a formal position. Tantra is a formal, it's a formal relationship. Like the priest is there, he's formally worshipping the Lord. And it's very formal. It's a very formal place. But there is mellowness there. So this is Jagannath Puri. And we are going to discuss on this unique thing about the formality with mellowness. Right? So formality, so meaning there is, the Aishwarya Bhava with Madhurya Bhava. So these 2 things Right? This bringing together of Aishwarya Bhava and Madhurya Bhava together creates Jagannath Puri. That's Jagannath Puri's uniqueness. Right? The two bhavas will come together. Usually what we will notice is we have Vrindavan, which is created by Radharani. So it is created by the Hladini potency. Right? And then so the idea being that it is unique in its positioning, in the sense that Radharani creates the dham, and then Balram becomes paraphernalia in that. Usually Balram is considered the dham. Usually, right? Balram. But here Radharani is creating the dham. So she takes a more functioning aspect, right? The Hladini. Right? So that is Vrindavan. Now, what actually happens is, so there you have Madhurya Bhava, being the most prominent. That is the most prominent aspect. Then you have Dwaraka, and then you have, Mathura, and then you will have Vaikuntha, where Aishwarya Bhava becomes more prominent. But then what you will see is in Jagannath Puri, the aspect of Jagannath Puri is where Madhurya and Aishwarya both come together. And so what you will notice is that worship of Lord Jagannath, the worship of Lord Jagannath is formal but very mellow. So that is why you will see the mellowness there is very extraordinary. I remember personally going to Jagannath Puri, seeing Lord Jagannath, and really I was thinking, wow, this is a very beautiful form. It is very mellow, right? It is formal, it is a form of they're huge deities. They're not like we get so used to dealing with Radha Gopinath, right? And in their unique sizing. When we see Jagannath, oh, that's big. Like when we see Panchatattwas, we feel, right, they're so big. When we see Radha Madhav, oh, they're so big. Right? So you feel big. You'll feel that a size difference. Because you are used to seeing something, and then you see something like, oh, that's big. So now when you see Lord Jagannath also, he's quite big. He is actually quite big. And so you're like, oh, okay, that's huge. So this mellowness in Aishwarya is Jagannath Puri. Right? So the dham. So when we will bring out the aspects of the dham, then we'll bring out the leelas that Krishna plays in this, right? So the first aspect is, when we read in Krishna book, we see the meeting of Brajavasis and Dwaraka-vasis in Kurukshetra. So it is explained that in that meeting, although the physical location is Kurukshetra, the mood of that place becomes Jagannath Puri. The mood. The key word here is the mood of the place, right? Is Jagannath Puri, right? So all the physical location is Kurukshetra, the physicals. Now there you will see some very unique things when you read Krishna book, or when you read Canto 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam. You will see some very beautiful things being described there. You will see in one place that in a tent, Vasudeva and Devaki are sitting, Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda are sitting. In a tent, in one physical tent. This is a physical tent. Both of them are sitting, right? The two parents of Krishna. Krishna enters, right? So Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda take Krishna and put them on their lap. Okay? So now Vasudeva and Devaki are looking at Krishna and they're thinking, oh, here is my Krishna. He's so beautiful, so kingly, looks so nice. Now Nanda and Yashoda holding Krishna, thinking, here is my Krishna, the cowherd boy. Same tent, same location, both are Vatsalya forms, but both are getting different mellows. One is getting an Aishwarya mellow, one is getting a Madhurya mellow. Meaning, one being, the Vrindavan mood, and one being the Dwaraka mood. And as you are reading this, it's very nice when Srila Prabhupada is writing and saying how Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj are, caressing Krishna. Like very different, right, to how Vasudeva and Devaki are dealing. Very different, right? And so much so that after this Leela, Devaki will ask Krishna to bring back her 6 sons. Because for her, here the Aishwarya mood becomes great, it becomes very great. So much so that she's now recognizing that, okay, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. That recognition, that appreciation is there. And then on the other side, Nanda and Yashoda are becoming more and more mellow. So that beauty is being shown. Right? So this, this mood of Jagannath Puri is first understood. So first we will understand the mood of the Dham, then you will understand the mood of the Dhampati, means the one who is living in that Dham. Right? So when we understand that in this Dham, these two things can be found. You can find both Aishwarya and Madhurya. Both forms can be found. Then what we will see is that the one who is residing, one who is king there, which is Lord Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra, they are the kings of that area, of the Purushottam Kshetra. Their dealings also have these two principles in them. Right? This Aishwarya and Madhurya. These two forms will be brought out. It is explained that we say Vipralamba. Vipralamba is the highest form of mellow. In Madhurya, the highest form of mellow is Vipralamba. In Vipralamba, there is this highest mellow, which is you are in union with Krishna, yet you have Vipralamba. So in Jagannath Puri, the gopis feel that highest mellow. Right? So they are now here, they can see Krishna. In front of them, they can see, okay, here is Krishna. And when I say gopis, means the gopas, everyone. They can see Krishna. Krishna is dressed as a king. But for them, they're like, no, Vipralamba, we want Krishna the cowherd boy. You see the Vipralamba. So that form is a very high taste. Right? So that taste you get in Jagannath Puri. Right? And I mean, when we say that taste you get in Jagannath Puri, means that taste is something that is brought out in Jagannath Puri. Maybe that's a better way to present it. That it is brought out very directly in Jagannath Puri. These tastes are found in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the mellow land, right? So all of these tastes are found in Vrindavan. But for us as simple people, to appreciate it, it is physically brought out in Jagannath Puri. That's where it becomes visible to us. Okay, now I understand what this is. Right? At least in the sense, when we say understanding means, in some way we can say that yes, I appreciate this. I may not feel it. I cannot comprehend it, but I understand. Okay, they are feeling this. So that form is brought out, right? So now, to make that form, to bring that aspect even more out, in Snan Yatra, Lord covers himself for 15 days. You see that union and separation. That aspect of union but separation is then brought out in Snan Yatra even greatly. It is explained that Lord Chaitanya, he would, in Snan Yatra, he would dance, and then he's saying that as the Lord is being bathed, the water is, like bouncing off the Lord, right? And hitting the devotees, right? As the Lord is being bathed, right? Water is being bounced off. He's similarly saying as Lord Chaitanya is dancing, then as he's sweating, then it is falling and, hitting the devotees. And so the devotees now in ecstasy. All the devotees, they're in ecstasy. They're getting the shower of Lord and they're getting the shower of the Lord. So it's very unique, right? So King Prataparudra, he does this setup. And so it's very unique. So this very nice mellow. And the reason why we bring this out is that, so in this Snan Yatra, this idea of having union, but having separation at the same time is very nice. So you will see that, when the deities will open up after Snan Yatra for 15 days, the Lord Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra Devi are locked up. They are behind closed doors. And because they are behind closed doors, every time we will come, we will stand and say, Jagannath Swami, Nayana Patagami Bhavatume. That, my dear Lord, please give me the eyes so I may see you. And so then you do that for 15 days, and then when you see the Lord, you become very happy. That's Rath Yatra. Right? So that mood becomes very unique. And so these unique things is, where we start seeing why it is said that Gaudiya Vaishnavism brings the highest mellows out. Why? Because not only does it bring the highest mellows out in a philosophical viewpoint, it brings the highest mellow out in the Tantra. Are you getting that? In the practice, in the Tantra, it brings out these highest mellows. Right? And so when I say Tantra means the Vaishnava Tantra, one is deity worship, and then there is the festival aspect as well. That becomes the extension. The festival becomes the extension to deity worship. Right? And so in Canto 11, in Uddhav Gita, Lord Krishna will go into great detail with Uddhava on this, that how when there's deity worship, the extension of that is the festival. Right? So then in the festival, then we become, so in one sense you are participating in deity worship. There is a participation. Right? Maybe not directly, right? Not formally, but there is still participation. So then that, that juice is brought out. Now, we will also look at this idea that Krishna becomes sick. Right? This idea also is something we should look at. Right? Because sometimes you may be dealing with someone and they may say, oh, okay, so you are saying all these things. Right? That, okay, deity worship is formal, it is God. Is it true that God becomes sick? Is it true? There's a question. And so for us to actually appreciate, tell him, yes. Everything that is in this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. So sometimes Krishna feigns sickness, right? So that aspect is there. It is there. It is real. It is, when we use the word real, we are talking from a spiritual sense, it's real. That is our definition of real. It is real, and so therefore, when it will come into the material world, it is real, but then for us, we cannot handle the sickness. Krishna can handle sickness, we cannot. So when Krishna feigns sickness, he does. He acts, oh, I'm sick, I'm not feeling well. Okay, so similar things happening to us, but the difference being that Krishna is the independent, but we are the dependent. So when we get sick, we get sick. Like we get really sick. Alright, but Krishna, because he's independent, he's sick, at the same time he's perfectly fine. Right, so both aspects are there. So then for us in this Leela, when we look at Snan Yatra, when we're looking at the Lord Krishna becoming sick, right? How we observe this is that yes, these emotions that we are feeling, these emotions will stay. The emotions will stay. So therefore, we have to purify our mind. Otherwise, we may get in the trap of being a Brahmavad or a Mayavad or even the non-Vaishnava religion aspect. Because for them, they worry less about the purification process. They worry less that one should purify one's position. Because for them, the material world is the wrong place. Are you understanding? For them, the material world is the wrong place. So, I'm in the wrong place, I need to get to the right place. Whereas for us, we are in the right place, so we can change our mood. We can purify ourselves. Are you seeing the difference in how we are visualizing the world? We are visualizing to say, we are in the material world, this is a place of purification. We need to purify ourselves because these emotions that I have will stay in the spiritual world. They're not going away. So therefore it is said that one should improve one's behavior, one should stop being jealous, one should stop becoming angry. Why? Because we are going to carry this mood into the spiritual world. Right? You see that beautiful pastime where Krishna has the Brahmanas and he says, I am hungry. He goes to the Brahman and says, please give me some food. Now the Brahmanas are so proud of their ritualistic lifestyle, their tantra. They are so proud of their tantra that they are not understanding that the Supreme Lord has arrived. So the purification is not complete. Are you getting for the Brahmana, he is doing his tantra, but the purification is not complete. So therefore when the Lord comes and asks for something, he is not able to give it. Right? Whereas the wives of the Brahmanas, they instantly give. Instant. Here you go, Krishna. Whatever you want, here it is. Right? So for them, their tantra has fructified. So are you understanding the way? The purification has been completed there. The purification is not completed here. And so these things happen. So this is all the part of the peripheral, our journey back into Vrindavan. So we have a way back into Vrindavan. So we will, in this lifetime we are practicing. Maybe in another lifetime we will come closer, right? But we may still have some impurities. We'll come even closer. So you'll see they'll become closer and people will come closer and closer until they finally enter Vrindavan. Now the reason why it's a stepped process is that in that step process you may find a particular mood of Krishna that suits you best. You may like Dwaraka form of Krishna. You may like the Jagannath Puri form of Krishna. You may like the Mathura form of Krishna. Or you may like the Vrindavan form of Krishna. For us as Gaudiyas, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we like the mood of Lord Chaitanya. So the mood of Lord Chaitanya is everyone come together and we will all look to Vrindavan. Maybe all of us may not land in Vrindavan. Are you understanding that? We may all not land in Vrindavan. For example, we have Murari Gupta. Right? Murari Gupta is Hanuman. So his eternal position is Ayodhya. Right? But he is in Mayapur. So meaning, everyone is looking to Vrindavan, but you may all end up in your own positions in the spiritual world. But we always look to Vrindavan. Right? And so this... once we understand this view, because in the Bhakti Vriksha also we were discussing this, that in our dealings, in why we are chanting, why in the Gaudiya mood, is we will always look to Vrindavan, although practically in our functioning aspect, in how we are functioning, we may land in various positions in the spiritual world. Right? I may like the mood of Lord Ram, I may end up in Ayodhya. I may like the mood of Dwarakadhish, I'll end up in Dwaraka. So we may all end up in different places, right? But our mood and vision will always be to look at Mayapur. To look at Vrindavan. So that is the vision of Mayapur. So Mayapur allows all the moods to come together. Channelizes the mood in the right angle, that Vrindavan mood is where we want to be at. At the same time accommodates everyone. So that unique thing about Mayapur is also to be brought up. That is why it is explained that the spiritual world, then just like you have Vrindavan, then we'll say that there is Mayapur, that half of it then becomes Mayapur. So in Mayapur you get that mood, although you may belong in one, like when we will read who is Gaura Ganopdesh, right? Where they have who is who, right? So in Gaura Ganopdesh, they say that, okay, such and such person is this person, such and such person. So when you will actually read that, when you open up a read, you will see people from Dwaraka, you will see people from Ayodhya, you will see people from Vaikuntha, like people from different places. They are all coming together in this one spot. Like you will see Jaya Vijaya, right? They become Jagai Madai. So they are actually Vaikuntha Vasis. They are Vaikuntha Vasis, right? For all intents and purposes, they are Vaikuntha Vasis. They are in Mayapur. We see Hanuman, Ayodhya Vasi, he is in Mayapur. Right? So this beauty is to be understood. So that mood of Mayapur, so why I'm bringing that out is that mood of Mayapur, Lord Chaitanya, like when he starts when Lord Chaitanya takes on the mission of preaching, he spends 24 years, right? First 24 years he had his youth, his growth, his marriage, everything. Then the next 24 years, 6 years he spends touring. He tours India for 6 years, right? Then 18 years he spends in Jagannath Puri. Right? Why? Why is that? In Jagannath Puri, right? In Jagannath, similar to Mayapur, in Jagannath Puri, all the mellows can come together. Just like in Mayapur, all the mellows come together. When I say mellow, meaning different moods of loving Krishna. Right? So some Aishwarya, from Aishwarya all the way down to Madhurya, in that range, we're talking about in that entire range, right? They all find a place in Mayapur. Similarly, they can all find a place in Jagannath Puri. Right? So once we understand this, now Krishna then becoming sick, right? So from any mood one is in, one can relate. Oh, Krishna is sick. Because otherwise you may wonder, somebody is from Vaikuntha mood, how can he accept that Vishnu is sick? It's hard to accept that, right? So first you must get the mellowness. So that is why I was trying to bring this out, that there is Mayapur and there is Jagannath Puri, and that mellowness is brought in, that everyone from every dham can start seeing that no, there is a informal position of dealing with Lord. And in that informal position of dealing with Lord, we can now appreciate, oh, Krishna is sick. Oh, okay, now we have to take care of him. We have to give him aushadhi. So another aspect, as devotees, we may all be struggling with this idea whether we should or shouldn't take a vaccine. Right? So the idea of when you become sick that you take medicine is Ayurvedic. It's an Ayurvedic concept. Now whether we should or shouldn't take vaccine is subject to one's own position. Right? So I'm not here advocating take or don't take. That's very clear. I'm not advocating that. What I'm saying is that taking medicine is Ayurvedic. It is Ayurveda, like when someone falls sick, you give medicine. This is very normal, right? Of course, the medicine given in Ayurveda is such that you become okay and then you should not get that disease again. Whereas in modern science, the idea is to fix one disease, but then may cause other disease. So one must always have that understanding that yes, there is medicine, right? That medicine may only work for a particular situation, may not work for all situations. So as long as that understanding is there, then decision making becomes easy, whether you should or shouldn't take it. Right? Then that has become, individual view. Right? So I just, sidetracking because it's COVID. So it's backing back into Jagannath Puri. So this idea of having a lockdown or, being confined when you are sick. Being confined when you are sick is there in the spiritual world. Do you know something interesting that per Manu Samhita, when you set up a society, you should always set up society with space. Meaning you should always have space. Right? So let's say we are 3 people, so 3 houses. So my house should be this big, your house. So there is space. Right? If we have space. So even if there was a disease breakout, because there is so much space amongst us, there is a low chance of, some contraction happening, like me, giving you something or you giving me something. It's a low chance because there is space, right? But today in modern society, the concept of space, which is the most subtle element we have. We have Panchamahabhutas. The most subtle element is space, right? And that space is required for us to function. See, this is the key thing. We miss this. Look at modern urban planning. Everyone is sitting on top of each other, right? In a vertical building. You're sitting on my head, I'm sitting on your head, we're all sitting on each other's head. So space is gone. Get it? So diseases will increase. Are you understanding how it's happening? So this idea that it must be spacious, right, is required. So now if you are spacious, then when you are confining yourself, there is a higher chance that disease will not spread. There's a higher chance. But in confinement, you are confined in your apartment room. You just go to the balcony and sneeze, that the thing will just go up. You see, it's hard, right? Isn't it hard to confine yourself? We will confine them in the hotel room. Everyone's sitting on top of each other. It's hard. It's hard. I mean, it's not like it's not possible, but it's hard. When we see here the confinement that Krishna does, so this idea of sometimes there is a lockdown, that is valid. It is a valid state because it is there happening as part of a festival. As part of our festival, we are celebrating Krishna locking himself up. It's a celebration. It's a leela. The idea being that such things do happen. And so, whenever these things occur, whenever situation happens in the material, we can always try to have a Shastra Chakshu. We try to see, okay, from Shastra, how can I see what is going on? So you can, yes, okay, these things happen. Can somebody fall sick? Yes, it is there. Krishna has also showcased that it is possible. So if Krishna has showcased it, we should not think that I will not fall sick. No, you can fall sick. This disease is real. It's not a fake disease, it's real. At the same time, what type of medicine we take, what type of, how we take care of ourselves, that is an individual choice. If you are in a bad state, take the medicine in front of you. If you are in a good state, do pranayam. There are other ways to, help yourself. So, like that, one has to make those intelligent choices, right? And so, in this Leela of Snan Yatra, we'll try and remember again what we said. We first talked about the uniqueness of the altar, how the brothers, the siblings, the construct of siblings. Then we talked about how this dham, how the quality of dham being tatashta, and then we talk about how Jagannath Puri, it brings out the aspect of Aishwarya Bhava and it brings out the aspect of Madhurya Bhava. And then finally we look that how this pastime of Krishna falling sick can become acceptable to people from all backgrounds. It is an acceptable position. And it is a spiritual, transcendental position. And it is acceptable to everyone. From Mayavads, like the ones who run the temple, a decent amount of them are Mayavads. Like, so the ones who do the worship and all, the main worship, the main mutts there are Mayavads, Adi Shankaracharya mutts. They're Mayavads. But they can appreciate. You see, appreciation is there. So that we can bring that aspect down. So yeah, it's 8:30. I think devotees are going to be ready for Aarti. So we will end here. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Gaur Bhaktarvind ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Yeah.